Alright guys, welcome to a new video. Last time we left off cleaning this bike. I'll show the footage there coming up here. But today we're going to be stripping this bike down to the frame. I think we're going to be ordering new sprockets for it, both front and rear. We're going to be painting the subframe black and the frame black, I believe. I think that's what most people said in the comments. So that's what people want. That's what we're going to do. We're going to look for some graphics for the bike. I contacted a few people and they said they recommended some graphic places that can make them up. So we're going to look into that. We're also going to, I think the bearings are going to be coming today, so we can maybe put those in. But the bike's going to be torn down to like the frame anyway, so I don't know what we're going to do yet. But let's get into the video, starting with the cleaning right now. Quick, before we get into the video of the cleaning, thank you guys so much. We hit 100K. That is insane. I stayed up until like, I think it was like 11:30 at night, and it was insane. So thank you. Celebrated a little bit, and it was super fun. So thanks guys to everyone who subscribed and watched the channel over the years. It took me 3 years to get to 100K. Hopefully it won't take that much longer to get to 1 million, but we're on our way. Next goal is 500K. So let's hit that and keep moving along. Yeah, so anyway, let's get back into the video of me cleaning up the bike. Alright, to clean this dirt bike, we're going to use engine degreaser. That's for the engine, that's for all the greasy spots. WD-40 we can use for the mud, and brake cleaner for the plastics. This is a pretty good trio of cleaning parts I always use. And then for the hard to get places in the engine, just use a normal toothbrush. And of course a rag, and we should be good to go. Other than that, I know a lot of people prefer not to use WD-40 because a lot of dust sticks to it and whatnot. I don't really care. You just wipe it off after you get done riding. It's not that big of a deal. So let's go do that and see what it looks like. Also guys, when working with these strong chemicals like brake cleaner, always wear gloves. You don't want that those chemicals to be soaking into your skin. It can cause real damage to the liver and the other organs in the body. So always wear gloves, and if you can, even wear a mask to prevent lung damage. So just an FYI before you guys start digging into motors and stuff and getting all those chemicals all over your hands, just protect your hands with some gloves. Always a good choice. Anyway, let's get clean this bike and see what happens. Plastic brake cleaner. Start with that stuff. Alright, so we got this side a little bit cleaned off. We're gonna still work at it, but it's looking a little bit better so far. Still have a lot to do on it. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's coming along. The frame definitely needs to be painted. That's the worst looking part on the bike, in my opinion, along with the plastics. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. The motor looks pretty clean. I'll show you a pretty close up here right now, if I can get there. The motor is pretty clean for what it is, and the pipe is pretty clean. The seat's nice, and everything else is pretty good except for the frame and the plastics. So let's keep working at this, and I'll show you the finished project. Alright guys, we got the bike sitting out here. We cleaned it up as best as I could get it. I really scrubbed those plastics. I scrubbed the whole motor down with a toothbrush, and it's still looking a little bit rough, not gonna lie. It definitely needs some new plastics if we're gonna order some new graphics for it. We could put the graphics on over the bad plastics because I'm having a hard time finding a plastics kit for it for a 1991 RM125. So if you guys know of a place where I can get some plastics for this thing, let me know. Share a link with me. Go to my Instagram at 2_vintage_ and share a link. If I use your post that you recommend, I'll give you a shout out on the channel. But yeah, I also need some graphics for it, and I'm having a really hard time finding those too. Alright, this is it. Motor, it's pretty clean now. The frame, as you can tell, has a bunch of these marks on it. Definitely needs to be painted down below. The spring arm looks pretty good. Back fender's all kind of scratched up. From far away, it doesn't look too bad. I took off all the plastic, or I took off all the graphics because I don't like them and they look really crappy and we're breaking, falling apart. But motor is pretty clean now. Alright, now that it's cleaned up, we're going to start digging into the bike. First thing we're going to do is get it down to the subframe, take off the subframe, check out the shock, and check out the air filter and stuff like that. So, should be pretty exciting. Quick walk around. It's pretty windy, so ignore the wind. But yep, take off the subframe, take off the seat, the plastics, take off the gas tank, and pretty much everything. And then we're going to try to sandblast this, or I have some, well, that's aluminum, so we might just use the paint stripper I have, get off the paint, and then paint that up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get going on it. One piece down. Alright, so we got the seat off and the two plastics, as you guys can see. We're looking at the air box now. Here's the air filter. Looks like it needs a good cleaning. Frame is pretty beat up. No cracks in it though. Oh, there is. I can't tell if that's a crack or not, or if that's just a weld. Looks like it might just be a weld. We will see though. But the subframe looks good so far. Pipe looks pretty good. We're going to take off the whole box, this back fender, and yeah, get to work. Alright, so we got the air box off. Literally like one bolt to take that off. This just pretty much just fell down right there, and you can just grab the whole air box out of here. And you have access right to the shock right here in the back, which is really nice setup actually. So I like how this drops away and then makes it really easy to take off the carburetor and all that stuff. So what we're gonna do is take off this back fender and take this off, paint it up, strip off the paint, and then get this other piece of subframe off of here and do the same thing. So we're gonna have to take off the gas tank as well. So let's take that off and get to work. There are a couple 8 mils back of the fender right up there. Let's quick take those off. And there's one other 12 mil that goes right here that connects it. You can see the other 12 mil sitting right here that connects the pipe to part of the frame, the subframe. So let's take that guy out, and then the back fender should drop away. Back fender drops away. There's a big washer in there too. This pulls out. Alright, so now the subframe is pretty much out in the open. This actually does not come off. Alright, so the subframe is actually attached right to the bike. It's not like the newer bikes, so the whole subframe can't come off. As you guys can see, it is all welded up. This is welded to that, that's welded to that, and that in there is welded in there to the frame. So this is all basically just one big frame. I know like the newer bikes have the subframe that can completely come off, but this is not like that. So let's take the gas tank off and get access to this part. Alright, so gas tank is completely off. We have access to pretty much the whole entire frame at this point. So what we're going to do is take off the remaining stuff on the frame that we can find and start putting some paint stripper on it to eat away at some of the yellow paint before we paint it new with the black. Alright guys, so we need to get this motor out, we need to get the radiator out, we have to get the forks off. So basically what we're going to do is drain the coolant first, get the radiator off and all the hoses, take the motor out, and then drop the forks in the tire, and then take off the shock, the chain, the sprockets, all that good stuff, and get it down to the bare frame. Alright guys, sorry for the loud lawnmowers in the background and the wind, but the drain plug for the coolant is right here. So we're just gonna go like this, and the coolant should start pouring out of it. I don't want it to spray all out. It's pressurized, so it would really spout out if you took out the whole bowl. So just let it drain for a while, get the pressure out of it. Otherwise you're gonna get sprayed in the face with it. Nobody wants to get coolant in the face either. So let that drain for a little bit. See, you can see it's pressurized in there and really wanting to shoot out. Try to take it out slowly, but alright, so we can go ahead and plug up the hole again. That's most of the coolant that came out of there. Now the rest is going to happen when we take off these tubes that lead down to the pump. There's going to be some leftover residue of coolant in these pipes. So what we're going to do is take off the pipe here on the bike. A couple bolts holding it on, and then 2 springs down here. So let's take off the pipe here. Pipe is now off the bike. That's great. Alright guys, if you look around, there's a lot of bolts here for the bike, and little tip for organization is to get some of these little baggies like this, preferably the Ziploc bags. These are kind of crappy. Permanent marker. You're going to put the bolts in the bag and then label them with the part. So for example, if you have one for a back fender, you're going to say bolts for back fender. Same with like gas tank, say bolts for gas tank, and then you can put everything right on it and then tape it right to the gas tank. So basically, it just helps you keep organized so you're not looking through all the bolts when you're putting the bike back together. I learned this the hard way when I took apart my first bike, the RD350. Ran into some problems. I had to look up every single bolt, the dimensions, the size that went back together to fit the bike, because they're pretty similar. So that's just one tip. Write the name of it right here and just tape it right to the part. So back to the build. It's coming along. Wish that guy would stop trimming so we could hear what we're saying. But anyway, let's get the motor out. We dropped the pipe. We just have the motor left to do, and the radiator, but we should be good to go after that. Alright guys, radiators are officially off. Just 3 bolts there, 2 bolts there. Disconnect the tubes and they came right off, so that's good. I might have to order a new radiator for this side. You can see some caulk that was used to cover the crack right there. So definitely maybe order a new one of those if it does leak. We're gonna have to take up the wire, the motor, all this front stuff, which is gonna take a while, and obviously the swing arm, which is gonna be fun, and the shock we need to take off. So lots yet to do, but it's definitely gonna be worth it. We're gonna paint up the frame and hopefully everything goes pretty smoothly. So stay tuned. We're gonna do the rest here right now. You see the eye box just came off along with the coil over there. So yeah, making progress. When we first picked up the bike, remember when the back brake didn't work? I'm just gonna show you guys what this fluid looks like in here. It is super brown and gross. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it is pretty brown looking. So we're definitely gonna have to clean out this whole system with the back brake and get that working again. I'm just taking off the back brake right now though to get down to the frame, but we've got lots of work to do ahead of us. Alright guys, so we're ready to drop the motor. All we have left to take out is the motor, which is just a 12 mil bolt on the bottom and right there on the top, and then we can drop the motor. Obviously we have to take off the chain too, but I got everything else off. We should be good to go. Then the swing arm comes off, and then we can take the forks off, just slide those through, and then the triple trees can come down too as well if we really want to go that far. But stay tuned, we're going to take this guy off right here. So as you guys can see, the motor, 2 bolts are out of the motor. There's one big one right here in the frame. Right there, I'm gonna have to use the air tool for. I cranked and cranked on that thing, could not get that thing by hand. Hopefully it comes out with the air tool. If not, we're gonna have to get with the big boys and have to crank her over. But let's get with the air tool and crank that guy off. All right, let's crank this guy off. Shouldn't take too much. She's on there tight. I don't know how to get that off now. Might have to let it sit with some penetrating oil. I'm not sure, but we'll work at it and hopefully we can get the thing off. Well, we got her off. That was a little tricky. There's the nut that was causing the problem right there. Now we can just pound that through. That's a huge bolt all the way through the frame. We pound that big bolt all the way through, and the motor should just slide right out of the frame. Pretty easy, as long as you can get that nut off right there. Now that the bolt is free, we're gonna try to get the motor out. The chain is the only thing causing the problem. So what we could do, we could take off the chain right now, which we're gonna take off the master link right there. So you guys can see the master link is right there. You just take a screwdriver, pound that clip off, and then you can take off the chain. That'll make the work a lot easier. All right guys, time to take off the motor. Should be pretty easy, should just pull right out of here. The motor's out, that's good. So successfully got the motor out, sitting right there. Now we're just gonna take off the swing arm, and we're almost there. All right guys, we're just about to take off the back end here, the swing arm, the wheel, the shock. Everything should come off. I took out all the bolts I could see, so everything should just fall right out right when I take this pin out of this area right here. So let's do it. Alright, so that worked. The whole swing arm and shock assembly came off. We're left with just the frame and the front end. So we're almost there. Yeah, that was pretty smooth. Alright guys, I took a little break, but I got everything apart except for the top end, or the front end of the bike. I just have to drop the shocks and take off the triple tree, so it won't be too much work, but just got a quick snack. It was a lot of work getting the whole bike apart, every bolt off. Some of them were stuck, which made it a little bit more difficult, but we had the air tools, so that was good. Next step, I think we're going to, after that, just clean up everything really well, go through everything, go through the motor, go through the power valves, put brand new oil in, and make the motor perfect. And then we'll go on to the bearings, because I think the bearings come tomorrow, so we can put those in tomorrow and just clean up everything really well. I'm going to hopefully drop the bolts off and have them nickel plated, and then that'll make them look like brand new. It almost looks like stainless steel then. And then so we'll do that, and then go through everything else, see if anything else needs replacing. I know I know the sprockets and the chain need replacing, so we're going to order those up, and then we should be good to go. So stay tuned. All right, it's a little bit too windy to talk out there, but hopefully you guys like me tearing down the whole bike and showing you guys the process. Comment down below if you do. Otherwise, I'll just skip the parts and go right to the main stuff. But if you guys enjoyed me taking apart the whole entire bike, let me know in the comments. Right now, we're going to take off the front end. First of all, the brake line leads to the handlebars, so we need to take off the brake line first and drain the brake fluid out of there. So let's go do that. Don't mind the wind. Now that that's done, we can take an Allen and get these bolts right there. Now that we got the front wheel off, we're gonna pound the forks down with a hammer, put a little WD-40 on there, and hopefully they come out. Forks are now both out. Wasn't too bad. Alright guys, so we just missed the rain. We got everything in, all kind of organized and laid out here on the piece of cardboard. It is all the way down to the frame except for the triple trees right here, which I'm just going to leave on because I don't need the bearings out or anything. We're just going to cover them up with tape while we paint the frame. We're going to go over the motor and everything individually and take it one step at a time. Otherwise, it's going to get way too confusing. So I think the next project is getting this frame stripped down and ready to paint. And that will be next video, along with maybe doing the bearings in each wheel. So we could tackle 2 things at one time maybe, or just one big project at one time and then slowly put it back together. I think that's the plan for it. I would also like to get new plastics for it, but that might get pretty pricey. We'll see if I have that much in the budget. Otherwise, we'll just clean up these plastics as best as we can and put them back on with some sweet graphics or something. Other than that, we need some sprockets going on, new chain, little stuff like that. We're going to take a look at the shock and just go over every little part of it and see if it needs replacing while we put it back together. So that'll be next video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this build. I know I am. It's pretty exciting. So anyway, my Instagram is 2_vintage_ if you guys want to see behind the scenes. I just posted before this video even. Here's my story right here. Walking around with the bike. Cool picture of all the parts laid out. Another walk around of the parts. And yeah, so definitely go follow me at 2_vintage_ for all of the behind the scenes. I think that's pretty much it. So thanks a lot, guys, for the 100K subscribers. Really appreciate it. And until next time, we are out.